welcome to
Hungaritas!
Let's go ahead and make some Pignoli cookies. We're going to start off by making our almond paste. We're going to start with just under 1.5 cups of almond flour, and we're going to dump that in our food processor. And just a little bit over 1/2 cup of powdered sugar. And I'm going to add just a quarter teaspoon of sea salt. And to start, we're just going to mix up these dry ingredients. Okay, I'm happy with that. See, it's well mixed, but it's kind of starting to clump together. It's the oils in the almond flour. Now I'm going to mix into this 1.5 egg whites, and keep the other half because we're going to use it later as part of our coating for the cookies. So I'm just going to pour this 1.5 egg whites in. You'll notice at this point our mixture is going to start to clump, just so you can see that a little better. So it's starting to resemble what our final product, the almond paste, is going to look like. Just for my final couple minutes mixing. Really having trouble with this. I'm going to add about 1/2 teaspoon of almond extract. You don't have to use almond extract, that's optional. However, it does really bring out that almond flavor I really like in these cookies. So let's blend this just a bit more. Okay, so here we've got our almond paste. This is what it's going to look like at the end, and it's got exactly the texture you'd expect. If you're making this ahead of time, you can take this almond paste, roll it up in a log in some plastic wrap, and you can put it in the freezer for later. But we're just going to jump in and make these cookies. So I'm going to leave it in our food processor just to make the next bit a little easier on myself. So to make the actual cookie, we're going to take our almond paste and we're going to add 1/2 cup of just granulated sugar. Mix well. The almond paste might get a little stuck there, so just take a spatula and break it down a little bit. Okay, so we let this mix for a few minutes, our almond paste and sugar, and you can see it's gotten a little more grainy. Still clumped together, but not as much as it was when it's just the almond paste. And to that, I'm going to add 2 egg whites, but they have to be at room temperature. So we're going to just dump these in and turn the food processor on again. Perfect. As you can see, I've got this nice, smooth, creamy paste. In our final step, we're going to slowly add in our cup of powdered sugar. And I really prefer to take my time on this because it's a little bit easier and a little less messy when I don't try to dump the whole cup of sugar in. Never turns out well for me when I do that. So I've mixed in all of the powdered sugar, but as you can see, there's still some on the sides. So I'm going to go in and just go a couple times around the food processor and blend it again. Great, so now my cookie dough is ready. I'm just going to scoop it into a bowl. Because we don't use any flour for this and it's quite soft. I find it really impossible to do anything with these unless I throw them in the fridge for a bit. So what I'm going to do is throw this batter at this point into the refrigerator for about 20 minutes. And at that point, it should get just a little bit firmer, and I'll be able to roll it into little balls. Okay, now that I've let our cookie dough sit in the fridge for a little bit, so you can see it's kind of gotten a little bit firmer. It's still really soft, but now I could roll it into a ball without it really sticking all over my hands. So I'm gonna start by just scooping this up a little. We're gonna gently roll these into maybe like 1-inch balls, something like that. We'll roll all these out, put them on a cookie sheet, and I'm actually gonna put them in the freezer for about 10 minutes, just because I want the outside to get a little firmer. It'll be a little bit easier for me to roll the balls in pine nuts. So it's still a little bit tackier than I'd like, which is okay. What we're gonna do, so you can see it's kind of sticking. That's okay. What we're gonna do is I'm just gonna make little clumps and put them on the cookie sheet, and we're gonna throw them in the freezer for 10 minutes and continue from there. Putting them in the freezer will kind of harden the outside, which is really all I need. Just I need them to be a little more firm, a little less tacky. Still, after being refrigerated, this is a lot easier to work with than it would have been if I had not done so. So we're going to go ahead and set these in the freezer for about 10 minutes and wait for the outside to harden just a bit. And then we'll roll the ones that were imperfect into perfect little spheres. Okay, so now we've let our cookies freeze a little bit so they're easier to work with. We are going to dip them in our 1.5 egg whites from earlier. I added another egg white to that half we had before. And we're just going to take that, just whip it up a little bit with a fork. And so, go ahead, dip these in our egg white mixture, and then roll them in our pine nuts. If you want to press them in a little bit, that kind of does help the pine nuts stick, because you can fill in some of the gaps, although it's okay to have some. The cookies are going to spread out just a bit, so it's going to have some space in between the nuts anyhow. And we'll just continue this for all of them. Okay, so looks like I'm a little bit short on pine nuts. Couldn't remember how many I needed last time. I thought one bag would do, but maybe I bought a larger bag last time. So I do have some slivered almonds handy, so we'll just use those instead. I guess it'll be a different cookie now, but still be good. Maybe this is the one for those that don't really like the taste of pine nuts. All right, so now that these are done, we're gonna throw them in the oven that's been preheated to 325 degrees for 15 to 18 minutes. Okay, now for the taste test. These are great. They're so soft, so moist, and honestly, one of my favorite cookies ever. Thanks for watching my video. If you liked it, please consider hitting the like button below. And if you'd like more content like this, the red subscribe button. Till next time, ciao!